Do 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 do. I think Streamlabs just. I think it just took a dump on me. I think that's all it was. Streamlabs just shits out on me. Now it's fine. It shit out and it's running it fine. 2500, 25 to 2600 bit rate. I'm okay with this. So, we were talking about force the vote for, Medicare for all. To you guys, does it seem like a really smart idea to try and hold up the speaker seat, which has no chance of really happening, to get nothing done? Literally nothing. You're holding it up. Bad PR. They're gonna, oh, the left couldn't come together around Speaker Pelosi and vote for her. They're bad. And then the right wing is just sitting there going, huh, Pelosi's so hated that she couldn't get the left on her side, and we didn't want to work with her, but we got concessions. We got this, this, and this. Like, come on. So, I don't think giving concessions to the Republicans just for a speaker seat would be the right way to go. Now, under this particular setting, with the infrastructure bill coming up, with a whole slew of other legislations coming up, the one that I would be mad at them for trying to hold up would have been HR 1 for the People Act. But holding up this infrastructure bill, our infrastructure is already shit, okay? Holding up something to improve it is the least harmful because it's already bad. Though it can still be harmful. Uh, and they have the leverage available now that they have. I mean, we've got more progressives in Congress than we did. So let's face it. It's better to try it with more people. Now, if you really want to get enough leverage, you need to elect more lefties into Congress. It has to be done. You're not gonna you're not gonna get a whole bunch of concessions and all these policies you want if there's like 7 or 8 lefties in the House and one in the Senate. You need like 60 or 70 lefties in the House at the very least, and then like 7 or 25 in the Senate. There's half the Senate won't be left. Actually, 3/4 of the Senate wouldn't be left, but half the Senate would agree, the other half wouldn't. But you'd be able to extract more concessions the more lefties there are. That's the point. You have to have more people. You have to have more political power before you can actually get the things you're trying to demand. Is it hard to comprehend? Really? Is it hard to understand that if you want things, you have to have more people? I mean, lefties understand this with collective bargaining. It's similar in Congress. It's a giant collective bargaining, except for it's skewed because the money that's in politics. But in theory, it's supposed to be people who you represent, you talk to, you tell them what you want and shit like that. They're supposed to draft legislation, in theory, that is tailored more towards what you want, and then everybody debates it based on what their constituents want. And hey, what's up, Big Rig? How's it going? Uh, so yeah, I mean, you just have to have more people in Congress. You have to have lefties get elected. We've got, let's see, we got Jamal Bowman, uh, Corey Bush, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, Bernie Sanders, I guess Ro Khanna, Katie Porter's kind of left leaning economically, kinda, but not really. Oh yeah, Big Rig, my internet has been acting up. I don't know what's going on. So if my stream shuts off out of nowhere or it gets choppy, I'm sorry. But we're going while we can. I'm gonna try and make it to 9:45, so another 15 minutes, and then I might have to dip. If it shuts off again, I'm not gonna restart it though. I'm sorry. So I'll do a preemptive goodbye on that one if that happens. Hey, fucking. Anyways, instead of having, yeah, the less than 30 progressives in Congress, we need to get a lot more. We need to a lot more. However, in this situation, as much as I hate to say it, I mean, how many times have I talked shit on Jimmy Dore? The strategy would work here. Force the vote would work on an infrastructure bill. It would. Or at least it'd be smarter to. We wouldn't necessarily get it passed as a House floor vote, but we would at least get something. We could get some concessions on something else if they won't go for that. They might negotiate us into something like that, but we can we can get something extracted on this. May not be a floor vote on Medicare for all, although that is a big one. We do need Medicare for all. It's fucking massive. But we can get something out of this. We can. I did not agree with it over Pelosi. Like I said, I didn't honestly think Jimmy Dore does not do actual political analysis. Like he was arguing with somebody on Twitter, and they didn't. Actually, I'm arguing with a bunch of people because it's about Jimmy Dore, and they always come and flood in. But the thing that hit me is when I mentioned that probably have gone to like Pelosi probably would have reached over to the conservatives to give them some concessions to get them to vote for her on her speaker seat. They acted as if I had no idea what politics was. Like they they were like, "Do you really think that any conservatives would vote for her as speaker and maintain their seat?" Well, for one, I never said they would maintain their seat. I just said that if they got the right kinds of concessions from her, then yeah, they would probably vote for her if, like I said, if they got the right concessions. Maybe not trying to force uh, a deal for the Capital Six riots, a commission to look into that. Maybe you know, trying to get some sort of thing with immigration getting restricted, something along those lines. Like, and Pelosi, she'll play ball. If you don't think Pelosi would play ball to like restrict Republicans, I don't know who the fuck you think you are or she is. Defunding the police, kind of like pushing back against that and putting more funding towards police, she would happily have worked with that. Do you think otherwise? Because I don't. It's dumb. It's dumb. You know, I think I actually get more bitrate when I don't have the camera going. So let me just cancel that. I'm sure that's what y'all are used to, anyways. But yeah, I click it off and it goes up to double what it was sitting at on my bitrate. But here, the Republicans have way more seats than they did, but that actually gives us more leverage. In a weird way, I know. I was just talking about how if we want to get our shit done, we need to get more seats, but that's because we didn't have any overwhelming numbers. And the GOP and the Democrats, while they do want to work together on some things, when it comes to this infrastructure bill, The Dems want it passed, and the Republicans really fucking don't. And so if some of our people hold up, some of our lefties hold up, and just don't until they get some concession, maybe two, beautiful. Because the Republicans will not concede. They won't. They won't until they get exactly what they would want. Although I think did the infrastructure bill already pass? Is that a thing? I don't remember. Biden infrastructure bill. The House already approved it yesterday. Fuck. Okay. That sucks. $115 billion. That's watered down as fuck. So you can see. Oh shit. No, you're all good, brother. You don't have to interact necessarily. Like, enjoy walking your dog, man. You be safe. Uh, I'm sad that they actually already passed this without getting more concessions. They conceded to the right, which fucking sucks. They needed to have held out on their position, but the Democrats are weak. So this is what I mean. This is exactly what would have happened with Pelosi. They would have given concessions to the Republicans, and that's it. Boom, done. Ooh, sorry about that. I don't. Oh shit, that was two of my three lighters. Fuck off, I don't care. Passed House, that's Invest in America Act. Okay, that's committee assignments. Okay. Alright, let's take a look at this, because this is coming up. Okay, can I get... read text? This. Wow, okay. Let's see. Yeah, they could hold this up. Cybersecurity Enhancement Account, Department-wide Systems and Capital Investment Programs, Office of Inspectors General, Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, Salaries and Expenses, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Yeah, they could definitely hold this fucking thing up. Hold it up. That's the budget, everybody. That's the budget. You hold that up, you get concessions, you get Medicare for all placed on a floor vote, and you can get, I don't know, a $15 an hour minimum wage standalone bill. That doesn't go against parliamentarian rules. You can force that through. You can try and use, not budget reconciliation, but you can use the nuclear option. You can try and abolish the filibuster. You can put any and everything on the fucking table, and they can cherry pick what they think is most feasible to try and happen. Probably a Medicare for all floor vote. Maybe a standalone $15 an hour minimum wage bill. That would be fucking sick if that happened, because that would pass through the House, and it might stall in the Senate. But if they use the nuclear option on that, then it's filibuster proof. Boom. $15 an hour minimum wage, y'all. Big dad. Fat fucking milky dads. So, I mean, holding up a budget, holding up an infrastructure bill, holding up a. If you're in the Senate and you want to try and get something put to a vote or whatever, you can hold up a nomination or any of the previous bills mentioned. Shit, there's probably a whole bunch of other types of bills you could hold up, but I mean, trying to do it for something like the speaker seat, that's not. A, you don't have the leverage. B, they could make concessions to the Republicans before they would make a concession to you at that particular point in time. And C, it's dumb. Now, trying to do that with something bigger like an infrastructure bill or whatever. Now, if the bill that's being presented is like the PRO Act, you don't need to get concessions for that because the PRO Act is actually already solid. Like you don't really need to try and hold that up. Republicans will try and hold that up. But you can threaten them with trying. Actually, if Republicans try and hold up something like the PRO Act, you threaten to hold it up unless they put in other, stronger bits of language. Because if they don't pay $15 an hour and they can force people back into work, then they can keep making more and more money because the way that a capitalist economy works is you generate money, you generate value with your labor. And because you have to sell your labor to somebody else, you are generating value that they then extract and return a small portion of. The less they have to pay you, the fatter the portion that goes to them. They also get to turn around, the people who are very, very wealthy, Bezos and shit like that, they get to turn around and go, hey, don't increase the minimum wage. Here's a couple $1,000,000 to your next campaign through, super PACs and shit. And then, boom, you suddenly don't get increases to your wages. Like, it actually is vastly detrimental to our economy, but it's beneficial to a very select group of people. So they have enough money to pay for it. And the longer this goes on, the longer this has been going on, the more money they've been able to keep in their own hands. So that is an issue. This is why part of the reason, at least, why capitalism is a fucking garbage ass economic system. Which, I mean, again, I don't really hear salient criticisms of capitalism nearly as much as I would like to. I don't really hear them. I do hear people mention being anti-capitalist, like Crystal and Sagar and Jimmy and shit like that. Cenk, no. Cenk is he's a capitalist. He does not pretend otherwise, and that is part of the reason why Cenk is kind of a shit ass host. I'm sorry, not really. But I don't ever really hear the salient criticisms. I just hear capitalism uh, bad because wages not go up. Which, yeah, that's that's one reason. But the longer it goes on, the more stratified we get. Like the gap gets wider and wider and wider. So, okay, the bitrate has been fairly steady, so we can get this back on. So, the thing that I have been hoping to hear more of, I hear it from Thought Slime, ContraPoints to some extent, uh, Abigail Thorn, Philosophy Tube, that's the channel name. A decent amount, you know. H Bomber guy, also, Vosh, but you know, a bunch of the left wingers, but more of the more mainstream, not really. Even Sam Cedar, I don't hear. I mean, I do. I've heard him mention Marxian critiques of labor exploitation. He's even said that your labor does get exploited, stuff like that. But I never really hear the stuff that I would even hear from Bernie, although he did support Bernie. And Bernie isn't all that far left, at least with his rhetoric style is very interesting. I'll point this out. Okay, I hear people saying, even myself, I just said it, he's not that far left. To me, he's not that far left compared to me, because Bernie is not an anarchist by by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think he is actually like a socialist, but he has to couch his language. So he puts forth the ideas that we get people looking into socialism with this rhetoric, but it's couched in a social democracy type policy proposal. It's a beautiful thing, really. Now, I think I just, yeah, I have a little bit of a drink left. Now, what we've got currently in Congress is some. I mean, yeah, as much as I like the rhetoric that they espouse, we kind of have some weak and feckless progressives. Like AOC has been a little. She's introduced a lot of legislation. She's been trying to do the fight, but when it comes down to really pushing a hard battle on certain things, she has been a little absent. Not all criticisms of her are invalid. Criticisms I do think are invalid are you're a traitor to the working class and you're a shill and a coward and you don't have any integrity because you won't come on my show. That's not a valid criticism of a person. You need to come correct on shit like that. Just just throwing that out there to the ether. Nope, the camera tanks the bitrate right now, so we can't have the camera. I'm sorry. So, and then we've got Ilhan Omar making verbal gaff after verbal gaff, and also not really. I mean, she has been a little bit stronger on the fight, I think, than AOC has in some regards. Although AOC's been doing like groundwork and activism and shit like that. So there's different things. I mean, sometimes you have to make certain concessions here and there, and there. I understand that politics is a very rough game. I disagree that she has sold out. That's again, sometimes you have to play ball if you want to maintain certain committee assignments and shit like that. You just you have to try and play ball. And having some of these committee assignments are very, very fun. It's absolutely true. I don't want anybody to come in here with the Jimmy Dore bullshit of oh, fuck your committee assignments. No, they're important. Okay. Uh, think about it this way. Let me explain why committee assignments are very important. Right? Nina Turner getting in? Yeah. Yeah, I support Nina. been supporting Nina. I actually did a video during Black History Month where she is actually one of my major inspirations as far as turning left and pushing for certain ideals. Like, yeah, Nina's the Nina is the person. Ilhan Omar was also in there, which I mean, she's still, I mean, she's still pretty strong. I'll give her, I'll give her that. Uh, and Angela Davis, absolutely. But even with Nina Turner getting in, I hate to say it, I don't know if that's enough. Don't. You know what? Let me pop out chat. Let me just have chat on screen, and that will be the only thing that runs. Oh wait, can I actually? I can't disable the preview on the video. Let me pause it because I don't care if it is playing or anything. I don't need it to. I'm not doing anything. And if I pull this up, let me just boop that for a second. Okay, let me see. Yeah, that works. I've got a steadier bit right now, at least. So, if we get Nina Turner in, she will be a fighter. I know this. We need to get even more people in. I mean, we've gotten a few in. There's been some fights. I've seen, Cori Bush getting out there doing work. Jamal Bowman getting out there doing work. I've even seen AOC in committee assignments and shit putting in work. Committee assignments are extraordinarily important, and I was going to explain why. So let me go ahead and do that. If you think about how big Congress is, all right? Think about Congress kind of like a workplace or something like that. You got 435 people in Congress in the House, right? Well, you've got 435 people voting on something. That's a lot of people. But committees are like 15, 20 people. That's way less. Your voice is a lot louder in the situation. Yeah, my internet's been acting weird too. But yeah, you get put into this situation where in the broader house, your voice isn't as loud. It's not as impactful. But when you have less people in a committee setting, you have more sway. Your individual power goes up the less people there are. Think about why autocracies exist. The less people there are in an area of power, the more power you can acquire. That's the point. So, that is something I want everybody to keep in mind. Committee assignments aren't just some, jerk off session blowhard thing. They're they're incredibly fucking important. Now, something that could be done, maybe, is in a committee where it's relevant. I don't know what committee it could be. A progressive could put forth a thing for Medicare for all. Now, something that would have to happen is full financing language be in the bill. You would have to have full way to account for paying for things. Yeah, nobody pays attention to fucking committees. There are literally people who are like, oh, fuck your committees. Oh, it's no problem, Big Rig. Committees are like super important. You have more individual power in committees. So if you have a progressive congressperson, a lefty, especially in a committee seat, especially an important committee seat, they have more sway over what's happening inside that committee, which is where a lot of important decisions are made that then get brought to a broader House vote. And the broader House vote usually goes along with whatever the committee decided. That's kind of a trend. Sometimes it doesn't, but not always. Somebody is playing drums nearby. Ah, fat dab pen. But when you think about overall in the broader House, still, if a committee puts something really progressive forward, say, the broader House can look at it and go, no, we don't really like that. We've got enough conservative-leaning people, some people who are more center-ish, center-left, some more center-right, some right, and none of them like this. Let's just say no to that. Well, you get more sway the more people you have in that position. So, what it comes down to is in committee settings, the individual voice is more powerful. And in bigger House settings, your overall group of voice is more powerful. So, the thing that needs to happen is you need to get lefties into office. Now, you can avoid a single party state by, if you get, say, a decent chunk of the Democratic Party and some of the Republicans that are there replaced with more left-leaning people. You manage to get, let's hypothesize here, okay? This is a hypothetical world. Next election comes up. The next presidential election comes up. I'll specify. You've got fucking hell. We'll just say AOC and Angela Walker running. The person who is running for vice president with Howie, she's running for vice president with AOC, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. Whichever position, whatever. They're running together. They're lefty candidates. All right. You get enough people radicalized by then with say what I'm doing, or with other channels, other people that push lefty content. People stumble across H Bomber Guy and they're like, oh wow, this is incredible. Let me look more into this, and they stumble upon Sean and Three Arrows and fucking Vosh or Thought Slime or somebody good in those regards, and then they move left. You get a decent chunk of them in Republican areas and stuff like that. Well, they start voting in the elections. You manage to get them out to vote, young people out to vote. A lot of them are more left-leaning. They end up getting, we'll say, there's 210 current Republican seats. We haven't hit midterms yet, but we'll say that the trend stays the same. There's about 210 to 225. We replace 15 of the Republican seats with progressive Democrats, left-leaning Democrats, maybe full-on socialists or whatever that are in the that run on the Democratic Party. That takes them down to 195. That puts 235 as the Democratic Party. Well, you also replace, out of the original 220, you replace the 20 with left-leaning people. Well, wow, that's suddenly 35 more left-leaning people in Congress. how did this happen? What's going to happen? Well, you have way more leverage in the broader House with that many left-leaning people. That will start to push the entire population left if they're pushing forward lefty progressive ideas, and the country looks at it and they're able to explain it in the right way. If they're able to push forward and be like, hey, look, this is why a $15 an hour minimum wage would actually benefit the economy. Everybody would be able to operate. Smaller businesses that are worried about it would be covered with this, and blah, 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 blah. And they just actively explain all of the policies. They're like, this is how it would work. This is how we would pay for it. This is how everything would function. The people who were against the state being involved in welfare and shit, people who are generally against like welfare or whatever, they would push against it, and the super rich would push against it. Small business owners, if they understood that they were getting a subsidy to be able to help pay for it, they would take it. I know they would. Like, I guarantee, I know this is pretty anecdotal, but I guarantee if the government came to my boss and went, hey, if we give you a subsidy, like, let's look over your finances, I know kind of how your stuff works, I know how much you make, I know all of that, so we'll look over this, and we'll say, you can keep roughly the same standard of living, you take a, say, 5% pay cut on your own stuff, I understand, but we'll give you a subsidy of a matching amount, and you pay your workers a decent wage out of that. I'm sure my boss would take that, because he does have a very, like, it's a small business, and it involves restaurant work. Not that I work at a restaurant, but it involves restaurants. So, if they explain it properly, that can move the population left, more left. Well, at the same time, there could be state elections going on. You get the young crowd out; they're already out voting for federal elections. They're right in the mood for it. They understand, hey, I went out and voted for this. Why don't I just go ahead and go out here and vote for this? And they start voting for the more left-leaning person in state elections, and the states start turning blue. Well, holy shit, there's a whole bunch of Democrats that are left-leaning and whatnot. Well, we could potentially actually, oh yeah, we give millions in subsidies to oil companies and a whole bunch of other shit. But if we get enough people in there, left-leaning Democrats and stuff like that, we can get election laws changed. You can get rid of first past the post voting and put in ranked choice. If that gets put in, those Democrats can change party over to the Green Party, which would then have an actual shot of being able to win. Like, you could vote. There would be no such thing as a spoiler vote or anything like that. That could never be used as an excuse or a way to shame somebody. See, all my arguments are like, hey, this person is just objectively going to be less harmful overall than this person, which I still hold true to Joe Biden, but it's still kind of a tenuous thing. Like, he's not good. I still think he's slightly better. I've heard some people say that he's not, and well, considering I can see with my own eyes that that's objectively not the case. Yeah. Maybe not better for those individuals, but Joe Biden is better than Trump for most people. Like, overall, literally, almost everybody else. Like, individuals have suffered some things, I'm sure. Oh, I think Australia does it, the UK does it, I actually don't know which countries do. Let me check that real quick. Estonia, Fiji, Hong Kong, Ireland. Let me get down to the. Okay. Australia, Canada, Estonia, Fiji, Hong Kong, Ireland, Malta, Nauru, New Zealand, North Ireland, Papua New Guinea, Slovenia, Sri Lanka. The United States has it in some regards. Uh, in the 2020 primaries, several states used a form of instant runoff in Democratic primaries. And Zimbabwe has a type. But if we did nationwide ranked choice voting, it's objectively better. And it would open up the path to more parties being able to be elected. The duopoly would be broken. Some of those Democrats in this hypothetical would be able to go over to, the Green Party, the Socialist Party, the Communist Party, whatever. That's the thing. That right there would improve the country a whole lot, opening it up. I mean, we'd be able to get more done. There'd be more pressure from other. Oh, it's no problem. I wanted to know myself once you mentioned it. I was like, I know there's a bunch of countries. I think I've seen it before, but I don't remember them off the top of my head. But yeah, there's quite a few that actually do it. Uh, if we had the ability to have those different kinds of parties, we would be able to put pressure from different angles. We would have more leverage because, like, if we would have to do coalition building, which means the conservatives would have to build coalitions. The Libertarian Party would actually stand a good chance of gaining power, but they have essentially on the conservative side they have the American Nazi Party, great. The uh, the Libertarian Party, which they're mostly conservatives, let's face it, and the Republican Party. And the left has the Socialist Party, the Communist Party, the Marxist-Leninist Party, the Green Party. Is there an anarchist party in the United States? I don't know. USA Anarchist Party. The extreme anarchist extremism. See, here's the thing. I'm an anarchist. I'm not extreme. I don't do all the crazy, blowing up shit. Anarcho-pacifism. Yeah, the American New Left. Yeah, yeah. See, anarcho-pacifism. Fuck yeah. Do we have anything over here about? Wow, my internet is so stable right now. I don't see anything here about a political party that's for anarchists. Okay? And that's fucking whack, y'all. We need an anarchist political party. It sounds counterintuitive, right? Because anarchists don't like hierarchy of the state. But hey, you have to participate in the society in order to try and change that society. Like, it's not hypocritical. It's dumb for people to try and use it as a hypocritical thing. You know what I mean? Okay. We've been fucking steady on the bitrate. The cousin is playing the thing. Let me scroll up here. Does the bitrate tank? Does it? No, it went up. No, it went just Yeah, it's staying around the same. We'll see. We'll see. It's fluctuating around 24 to 2600. So, but do you all understand what I'm saying here? We need the ability to have multiple parties because having that pressure from multiple angles is a beautiful, beautiful thing. We'll get more done. Just having the two parties fighting each other has not worked out. The Democrats are fucking spineless and feckless, and also are overall more conservative, so they're going to concede to conservatives on a majority of the issues. There's almost nothing that they're going to put their foot down and fight for. Neoliberalism is a fucking plague. Capitalism is a plague. We need to do away with them. The fight means radicalizing. Now, there are people who will immediately start condescending people. They'll come at them with the crazy rhetoric of, wait, the proletariat have to take the means of production from the bourgeois, and they don't, and literally, like, the person they're talking to has no idea what these terms mean. They're just kind of vaguely, like, worried about social issues in a certain way, and they're kind of broke. So they're like, hey, like, trans people deserve rights or whatever. The proletariat need to take the means of production from the bourgeois in a violent revolution. And you're just like, whoa. Socialists are crazy. As opposed to going, hey, man, you want more control over, like, your finances and stuff? Yeah. Well, maybe if you had, like, either a union or you were able to, like, make it to where everybody at your work owned the place that you worked at, like, all of you own it together. You vote on everything together, like the wages and stuff. Do you think that would be like? You think that'd be a good idea? Because like they already do it in some places, like it's a worker cooperative, and people are like, "Huh, that sounds interesting." So, this is a concept that was summed up by Vladimir Lenin. You have to meet people at their level of radicalization, unless you sound like a blithering lunatic. It's a little bit of paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he was saying. Because if you just run up to somebody and you're talking about, they're like, oh yeah, I'd like trans people to have equal rights and access to the treatments that they want or whatever. I want them to be able to have their hormone, their HRT and stuff like that. The trans kids who don't want to, you give them the hormone blockers so they don't go through the puberty that they don't want to go through and blah blah blah. Give them the time to figure it all out. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's based, yeah. Yeah, and I'm kind of broke and stuff like that. Yeah, base. That's not based, but yeah, the co-op. But if you just run up to somebody who's doing that kind of stuff, and you're like, you need to join the revolution and overthrow the bourgeois party with the bourgeois class has to be overthrown. Then you're gonna get looked at like you're crazy. Well, yeah, that is true. Well, some contingents, even of the left. So, in Marxist terms, and like far left terms, the proletariat are the people who did work. They had to sell their labor to a person who owned the means of production, whether it was agricultural fields and stuff like that under serfdom, or like a workplace today that pays you for your labor and stuff like that. There was always there's been a proletariat and a bourgeois. The owners are the bourgeois, the people who own the places that you work at, blah 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 blah. Now there is a distinction that is the people who both work and own. They are called the petit bourgeois. The petit bourgeois are like my boss, a small business owner. He was still at work when I left. Now he showed up like 45 minutes, an hour into my day. Oh, well, see, yeah, I don't know. You can you can use a whole bunch of different words. That's the great thing. You can tailoring your rhetoric. That's essentially what I'm getting to. Is like you have to tailor your rhetoric to who you're talking to what level they're radicalized. Now, I mean, I am explicitly a anarchist channel. Like, I I am. I'm an anarchist. I advocate for more market socialism because it's more pragmatic. We are not ready for anarchism. Fuck no. We have groups like the Proud Boys around. That's this tells me right now the human psyche is not ready for actual anarchism, and any smart anarchist knows that is absolutely the case. If we abolish the state, like literally right now, I fucking hate it. But Jesus Christ, there would literally be absolute chaos. Man, it's been one hell of a day, y'all. I do appreciate everybody for having tuned in. If you've liked the stream so far, hit that like. If you haven't, sub to the channel. You know, and yeah. Oh fuck. I guess I should probably be wrapping up right about now. I'm supposed to go help my cousin move, but I'll put one more thing out here. If we manage to get an economy where the workers own the means of production, we can start with decommodification. We can start by decommodifying, and I can explain those terms here in a moment. But we can start decommodifying, and at that point, we have begun entering socialism. Now, what decommodification is when things are no longer a commodity, as in something to be bought and sold. Okay, libertarianism, it depends on where you're looking, because anarchist, libertarianism was originally meant to be like a term for anarchists when anarchists were getting demonized, but it was co-opted. So an anarchist holds all unjust coercive hierarchies to be unfavorable and should be abolished, should just be gotten rid of. So things like the state and corporate control are things that they hold to be undesirable and should not exist. Libertarians, at least here in America, are essentially anarcho capitalists, which is a mockery of the term. They dislike the state, they want to get rid of it because it interferes with corporate control. So, American libertarianism is essentially a separate form of fascism. I think I actually have notes on this. Ah, yes. Yeah, I think my internet needs to be reset. I will leave this right here. This is what I will end with. I will be explaining the difference between anarchists and libertarians. So I will put this right here. American libertarianism is essentially a form of fascism, and here's why. It's rolling corporate and state power together, with either businesses working hand in hand with the state absorbing all businesses, or abolishing state and giving that power to capital owners. This last one is what American libertarians want to do. Well, they don't expressly state that they want to give that power to capital owners, but they're like, oh, well, yeah, everything will be funded by businesses and stuff. So, yeah, yeah, they're giving essentially all the power of the state to the businesses. That's how you would get things like corporate cities, which is historically a massive failure, and people died a lot. And this is the natural conclusion of what capitalism wants. Capitalism leads to fascism. The failings of liberalism also help lead to fascism. But yeah, Big Rig, if you're going to bed, you have a great night, bro. I hope to catch you on soon. I will probably be doing some work to get my internet fixed because it's just the internet. The rig is fine. Like the system is great. But this is something very important. This is a tenet of fascism, but this is a big one. This right here. So, with that, I will wrap this up. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you for tuning in, and yeah, just take care. All right. Hope to see you soon.